Today, we're taking a close look at Nvidia, a company that's been making waves in the tech world, especially with all this buzz about AI,
Yeah, it's been pretty hard to miss, right?
for sure. And their stock performance has been, well, let's just say interesting lately. So we're going to try to make sense of it all by diving into this Market Beat article from November 21st, 2024. It's titled, Nvidia's Growth Slows, Why the Uptrend Isn't Over Yet.
Catchy title, right?
Yeah, and a little contradictory, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, growth slows, but uptrend isn't over.
Exactly.
hmm
So let's figure out what's going on here.
All right, well, first things first. The article points out that NVIDIA's year-over-year growth did slow down. Went from a whopping 205% in Q3 of last year down to 95% this year.
Okay, so pretty steep drop, percentage-wise.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind the context here. NVIDIA's overall business has grown by almost 800% in the last 4 years.
Whoa, okay, so we're talking huge growth still.
Absolutely. That kind of sustained growth is practically unheard of for a company already this big.
So it's more like they're switching gears, not slamming on the brakes.
Exactly. And the gear they're shifting into, AI. Big time.
Makes sense. The article really emphasizes NVIDIA's strong position in the AI market, especially for data centers.
Yeah, those data centers need immense processing power to handle all the AI applications that are popping up everywhere. And NVIDIA, well, they're supplying the tools for the job.
Where they're specialized chips.
Right, like the Hopper. It's their current generation AI chip. And it's been a massive success.
But like you said, they're not stopping there.
Nope, they're already working on the next generation, the Blackwell chip, expected to be even more powerful and efficient.
Okay, so back to that headline. This is where the uptrend isn't over part comes in, right?
Exactly. Demand for these AI chips is through the roof. NVIDIA is actually struggling to keep up with production.
So it's not that people don't want their products.
Not at all. It's a supply problem, not a demand problem.
That's interesting. I mean, that seems like a good problem to have, in a way.
Definitely. Think about it. If the only thing holding them back is their ability to actually make the product, that suggests there's a massive untapped market out there.
Wow, yeah.
Once they solve those supply issues, it could be like opening the floodgates for AI development across all sorts of industries.
Okay, so that's the big picture. Let's get into some specifics. The article dives into NVIDIA's recent Q3 report. What were some of the highlights?
Well, get this. They absolutely crushed analyst predictions for Q3, like blew them out of the water.
Really? By how much?
By a full 13 percentage points.
Whoa. Okay, so let's break it down. What were the actual numbers?
Well, their Q3 revenue landed at a whopping $14.1 billion. That's a 95% jump compared to last year.
Okay, that's massive.
And remember their data center business.
Yeah, the one we were just talking about.
That segment pulled in $12.2 billion, 112% growth year over year.
Wow, those data center chips are really flying off the shelves. But what about their other segments? Are they just riding the AI wave, or is there growth elsewhere too?
It's not just AI. Their other sectors are showing some healthy growth, too. Like, their gaming segment saw a decent 15% increase in revenue, reaching $2.49 billion.
So they're keeping the gamers happy? What about their more specialized stuff, like pro visualization and automotive?
Yeah, pro visualization, that's for the architects, engineers, designers, that kind of crowd. That was up 7% to $424 million.
Makes sense. What about automotive?
Automotive jumped up 30%, hit $401 million.
Okay, so a real mix of short-term wins and some longer-term bets.
Yeah, exactly. They're not just chasing the next big thing, they're being strategic. Diversifying their revenue streams makes them less vulnerable to slowdowns in any one particular market.
That's a smart move, especially in the crazy world of tech. But let's look beyond the revenue numbers. What about profitability? Are they actually making money from all this growth?
Oh yeah, their Q3 report shows they're not just growing, they're growing profitably. Their gross margin, that's a key indicator of profitability, right? Jumped up by 60 basis points to 70.1%.
So they're keeping a bigger chunk of that revenue after covering their costs.
Yep. And their operating income, that's the profit from their core operations, skyrocketed 110% to $5.6 billion.
Those are some seriously impressive numbers. What about their net income, the bottom line?
Well, their net income also got a nice boost, up over 50% to $4.4 billion.
Okay, so they're raking in the cash and turning a healthy profit. But what are they doing with all that money? Are they just sitting on it or putting it to good use?
Oh, they're definitely not hoarding it. They're reinvesting a big chunk of those earnings right back into the business.
Smart move. Especially in tech.
Yeah.
Got to keep innovating or you get left behind.
Right. They're also using their financial strength to bolster their balance sheet. Their cash balance is now at a whopping $38 billion.
50% higher than last year.
Exactly. That gives them a ton of flexibility and options.
Yeah, it's like a giant war chest. They can make strategic acquisitions, invest in new technologies, weather any economic storms that come their way, and of course, reward their shareholders. Speaking of shareholders, they must be pretty happy with Nvidia's performance. All this talk of dividends and buybacks.
Oh, yeah. Shareholders are definitely benefiting from NVIDIA's success. And with their strong financial position, they're a great spot to keep those rewards coming.
So it's not just about the potential for the stock price to go up. There's also that potential for income and capital return.
Absolutely. NVIDIA is becoming more and more appealing to a wider range of investors, not just those chasing those high-growth tech stocks.
It's a compelling story, for sure. But let's zoom out for a minute. Connect this back to our initial chat about slowing growth. How does this financial strength help NVIDIA navigate those challenges of a market that's maturing?
That's a great question. Remember, even though NVIDIA's growth isn't as crazy high as it used to be, they're still growing at a solid clip. And that strong financial position gives them the resources to keep innovating and adapt as the market changes.
So they're not just resting on their past successes.
Nope. They're actively investing in their future, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI and high-performance computing.
They're not afraid to take risks and explore new frontiers.
Not at all. And that's a key takeaway for investors. It's not just about looking at the current numbers. It's about understanding the company's vision for the future and their ability to actually make that vision a reality.
NVIDIA seems to have a pretty good track record in that department.
They do. They've consistently delivered on their promises, even exceeding expectations. That's built a lot of trust and credibility for them.
And that's got to be worth a lot, especially in an industry as fast-paced and competitive as tech.
You got it.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've dug into their Q3 report, looked at their financial health, and talked about their strategies for growth and innovation. But before we wrap up, I'm curious to get your take on the bigger picture. What does NVIDIA's success tell us about the future of AI and how it could impact the world?
Oh, that's a big one. Well, AI has the potential to revolutionize so many different aspects of our lives. It's already happening in areas like healthcare and finance.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling to think about all the ways AI could transform things. We've got personalized medicine, early disease detection, AI catching fraud, managing risk, even giving personalized financial advice.
Exactly. And the potential applications are pretty much endless. Think about transportation with self-driving cars and trucks. That could be huge for logistics, traffic, even make our roads safer. And then there's entertainment. AI is already being used to create content, personalize recommendations, even make those immersive virtual experiences we hear so much about.
It really does feel like we're on the edge of a whole new era, and NVIDIA is right there in the front leading the way. But with all this incredible potential, there are also some concerns. People are worried about jobs being lost, about the ethics of AI decision-making, and even some folks worry that AI could become too powerful.
You're absolutely right. Those are valid concerns, and we need to be having open and honest conversations about them. As AI becomes more and more a part of our lives, we have to make sure it's developed and used responsibly. We need those clear ethical guidelines, strong regulations to minimize the risks and make sure that AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
It's like we're walking a tightrope. We got to embrace the potential of AI while also being aware of those potential pitfalls.
A balancing act, for sure. And companies like Nvidia, they have a big responsibility here. It's not just about developing amazing technology. It's also about thinking about the impact that technology will have on society as a whole.
Yeah, it's not just about profits, it's about purpose too.
Exactly. Using technology to make the world a better place.
I think this deep dive has given us a lot to chew on. We've explored NVIDIA's incredible financial performance, their position in the AI market, and the future of AI itself. All that excitement and the challenges that come with it.
Yeah, and we talked about how crucial it is to develop AI responsibly and address those ethical questions head on. This tech is powerful, and we need to be thoughtful about how we use it.
So where does this leave us? What's the big takeaway for our listener who's trying to make sense of all this?
I'd say the big takeaway is that NVIDIA is a company at a crossroads. They're riding that wave of the AI revolution, but their success in the future depends on how well they navigate this rapidly changing tech landscape, how they manage expectations, and how they keep innovating while also being aware of AI's broader impact on society.
It's a tall order, but they seem to have what it takes. The talent, the resources, the vision. They could very well remain a leader in the AI space for years to come.
I agree. And for investors, Nvidia presents a really unique opportunity to get in on the ground floor of one of the most transformative technologies we've ever seen. But, like with any investment, it's crucial to do your homework, know the risks, and make those decisions with your eyes wide open. All right, so let's break those Q3 numbers down a bit. Their revenue came in at a pretty impressive $14.1 billion. They actually blew past what those analysts were predicting.
Yeah, we were saying earlier how they crushed those predictions, but like, what does that actually look like in terms of, you know, dollars and cents?
Well, for Q3, that's a 95% jump compared to the same time last year.
Wow. Okay, that's huge EE.
It is. And a big chunk of that revenue, like we were talking about before, comes from their data center business.
Yeah.
That segment alone brought in $12.2 billion.
100 and pound. What was it again?
112% growth year over year.
112%. It really shows just how much that demand for data processing is exploding, right?
Hmm.
Especially with AI and all the things people are using it for these days.
It really does. And it shows how smart NVIDIA was to get ahead of this trend. They're in a great position now to, provide those high-performance computing solutions that everyone needs.
They're like, what is it? The picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
Exactly. I like that. But they're not just data centers, right? We were talking about those other segments earlier.
Right, right. What was going on with their gaming segment?
The gaming had a pretty good quarter, too. Up 15% in revenue, brought in $2.49 billion.
Okay, not bad at all.
Yeah, that growth was partly thanks to their new Ada Lovelace GPUs. Gamers love those things. They're seeing huge performance improvements, especially for those who, really want to experience the latest games with all the bells and whistles, the ray tracing and all that.
So they're keeping those gamers happy. What about those more, I guess, niche areas, like the pro visualization and automotive?
Yeah, good question. So pro visualization, that's for, the professionals, those architects and engineers and designers, that was up 7%, hit $424 million.
Okay, solid. And automotive?
Automotive grew by 30%, reached $401 million.
Wow, that's a pretty big jump. What's driving that growth?
Well, their self-driving car platform, Nvidia Drive, is becoming more and more popular with those car makers. It's a longer-term play for them, though, because, that whole autonomous vehicle market is still in those early stages.
Right, right. So it's kind of like they've got this mix of those short-term wins and those long-term bets.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's a really well-balanced approach. They're not just chasing the flavor of the month. They're being smart about it, diversifying those revenue streams to make them less vulnerable if one particular market takes a dip.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, especially in the, ever-changing world of tech. But let's dig a little deeper. Let's go beyond just the revenue numbers. What about their profitability? Are they actually like making money from all this growth?
Oh, yeah. Their Q3 report shows they're not just growing, they're doing it profitably. Their gross margin, which is a, key indicator of profitability, went up 60 basis points to 70.1%.
Meaning they're keeping a bigger chunk of each dollar they bring in, right? After they've covered all those costs.
Right. And their operating income, so their profit from their core operations, that jumped up a whopping 110% to $5.6 billion.
Wow. Okay, that really shows you how efficient they are, how well they're running things, and the bottom line, their net income.
Their net income, that's their profit after they've paid all the expenses, that also got a significant bump. It went up by, over 50% to reach $4.4 billion.
Okay, so the picture is they're making a lot of money, they're turning a solid profit, but the big question is, what are they doing with all that cash?
Well, they're definitely putting it to good use. They're not just, letting it sit there. They're taking a big portion of those earnings and reinvesting it right back into the business.
Smart move. Got to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Right, especially in tech where, everything's moving so fast.
Absolutely. And, they're also using their financial strength to really shore up their balance sheet. Their cash balance is now sitting at a pretty impressive $38 billion.
That's up 50% from last year, right?
Yep, gives them a lot of breathing room, a lot of options.
Yeah, it's like having, a big safety net. They can make those strategic acquisitions, invest in cutting-edge tech, weather those economic storms if they have to. And, of course, they can reward their shareholders. And speaking of shareholders, those folks must be pretty happy with how NVIDIA's been performing, especially with all that talk about, dividends and stock buybacks.
Oh, yeah. Shareholders are definitely reaping the rewards of NVIDIA's success. And, with such a strong financial position, they're in a great spot to keep those rewards coming.
So it's not just about the potential for the stock to go up. It's also about those dividends and buybacks, that potential for some real income and capital return.
You got it. And I think, that's why Nvidia is becoming attractive to a wider range of investors. It's not just for those folks who are, chasing those super high growth tech stocks.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a pretty compelling story. But let's step back for a second and bring this back to our initial conversation about that slowing growth. How does all this financial strength actually help NVIDIA deal with those challenges, the challenges that come with a market that's maturing?
That's a great question. And it's really important to keep in mind that even though Nvidia's growth rate has, slowed down a bit from those crazy high numbers they were seeing, they're still growing at a healthy clip. And that strong financial position gives them the resources to keep innovating and adapting as the market changes.
So they're not just relying on, past successes. They're actively investing in the future.
Exactly. They're pushing those boundaries, always looking for what's next in AI and high-performance computing. And, they're not afraid to take some risks to explore those new areas.
And that's got to be a big signal for investors. It's not just about looking at the current numbers. It's about, seeing that vision for the future and understanding if the company can actually, execute on that vision.
Absolutely. And NVIDIA has shown time and time again that they can deliver. They've met their goals. They've even exceeded expectations. They've built a lot of trust and credibility in the process.
And that's got to be worth its weight in gold, especially in an industry like tech where it's so fast-paced and competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your take on the big picture? What does NVIDIA's success tell us about the future of AI and how it's going to change the world?
Well, I think AI has the potential to really revolutionize so many different parts of our lives. And we're already seeing it happening in, areas like healthcare and finance.
It's kind of wild to think about, right? All the ways AI could change things. We're already seeing it in healthcare, like you said.
Yeah.
Personalized medicine, AI helping doctors detect diseases earlier. It's incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
And in finance, oh man, AI is being used to, spot fraud, manage risk. I even heard about AI giving personalized financial advice.
Yeah, advisors. I mean, it sounds like science fiction, but it's really happening. The potential applications are, well, they're kind of limitless. Like, take transportation, for example. Self-driving cars, self-driving trucks. That could be huge.
Yeah. Think about it. Logistics, traffic, even safety on the roads. AI could revolutionize all of that. And then there's entertainment, right? I mean, AI is already being used to create content, make those personalized recommendations. And don't forget those super immersive virtual experiences.
It feels like we're like standing on the doorstep of a whole new world.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA's right there leading the charge. But, with all this amazing potential, there's also a darker side. People are worried about what happens to jobs, about whether AI can make ethical decisions. Some folks even worry that AI could, become too powerful.
You're right. Those are very real concerns. And we can't just ignore them. We need to talk about them. As AI becomes, more and more ingrained in our lives, we got to make sure it's developed and used responsibly.
Yeah.
We need those clear ethical guidelines. We need regulations, to keep things in check, to make sure AI benefits everyone, not just, a select few.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope. We have to embrace what AI can do, but we can't lose sight of those potential problems.
It's a tough balance, for sure. And companies like NVIDIA, they have a huge role to play. It's not just about making cool technology. It's about, stopping and thinking, hey, how is this going to affect people? How's it going to affect society?
Yeah. It's not just about profits anymore. It's about purpose. It's about using tech to, making the world a better place.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. We've explored NVIDIA's amazing financials, their position in the AI market, and we've talked about the future of AI itself.
Mm-hmm.
The good, the bad, the exciting, and, well, the kind of scary.
And for those folks out there who are, interested in investing, NVIDIA represents a pretty unique opportunity to get in on the ground floor of one of the most transformative technologies, well, maybe ever. But like with any investment, it's so important to do your homework, understand those risks, and make decisions based on, solid information. Don't just jump in blindly.
Very well said.
Yeah.
So to sum it up, if AI gets you excited and you're looking for a company that's, right there shaping the future, NVIDIA is one to keep your eye on. But stay sharp out there. The AI landscape is shifting constantly, and there are definitely going to be some twists and turns ahead.
Yeah, the AI journey is just beginning, and it's going to be a wild ride.